welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, heard about it, been through it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on the planet. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type. If you work hard and call the damn leads, you can make an amazing life for yourself in sales. Today's guest, no stranger to that journey, someone I'm super excited to have on the show. Welcome to my friend, Mr. Devan Gonzalez. What's up, brother?
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I am excited to have you on, man. I know I was a guest on your show, so I'm excited to bring you here and share a little bit of the wisdom. But first, I want to jump right in, man. I want to hear a crazy sales story.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go into like the personal training, side of it. Back when I was a personal trainer, and there's a plethora of different stories, but the craziest one off the wall would be I met a client or a soon-to-be client in the gym, and, I told her my prices and so forth, and she's like, okay, text me and a little bit later and I'll confirm. I was like, cool. So I texted her, hey, this is Devin from the gym, and gave her that whole thing. Well, at midnight or a little before midnight, all of a sudden my phone's ringing from her. I was like, okay. So then I answered it, and then it's her husband. And I was like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, who the F is this? And I was like, hold on. I was like, I'm one of the trainers from the gym. Like, your wife was asking about personal training. Well, I guess the next day they were coming in for, the first session, and he didn't believe her. And so I don't know what was underlying that, but he showed up with her and introduced myself. And I was, hey man, like, you're more than willing to, if you want, you can work out with her. I can train you both, no extra charge, or you can watch, whatever you want to do. He's like, I'm going to work out. I'm just going to watch. I was like, all right, cool, man. Like, other people have done that. And so like he watched and the whole time, and trainers get a bad rap, right? They get a bad rap for the way they stand, the way they approach clients and so forth. But I've always been keen on where I stand, how I position myself, because my big thing is that the perception of the room, not just the perception of the client. And so after our session, I was actually talking to the husband, and he actually signed up for personal training also. And he actually referred a couple of his friends' wives, like through them. And he was like, dude, like, from what they said was, this trainer is not one of those trainers. And so I was like, I took that as a cool compliment, but it was like one of those things that was weird, getting a call at midnight and getting all of a sudden chewed out. And I was like, hey man, like one, relax. And two, like, it's not like that, I promise. So.
That's hilarious. And, I can imagine that there are, like in any industry, you have good characters, you have bad characters. And unfortunately, I could see where the gym would be a situation for both sides, to be honest, to cause some jealousy and some questionable choices, if you will. The gym outfits, man, they are what they are. Boys and girls, like, we all know the game. But what I love about that is the ability you kind of shown there to just stay cool, stay calm, and turn what essentially was like a negative situation into a positive situation that led to multiple referrals and further opportunities. And so, I'd love to know, man, was the gym your first sales role, or how did you get into sales?
Yeah, I mean, my first sales role was actually Cutco knives. And I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like a door-to-door selling these knives. And honestly, that probably lasted like a week. And I was like, it wasn't the fact of I just couldn't get behind what I was selling. And so I have no problem talking to people. And it was just like, I'm selling knives. And I was like, I didn't feel like it was actually, worth it. And it's like, if I didn't feel like it was worth it, like, I can't be in good faith selling it. So that didn't last long. The weird thing about that is I actually tried to return the knives, to them, because it was like a test kit. And then no one kept showing up. And I was like, look, like, I'll leave it at the door. And then no one responded to my text. So I just ended up having a set of their knives for, years. And it was like a weird situation.
Best knives on the planet, I'm told.
Yeah. So like, that was my first sales role. But then I did do like personal training sales at that same company. And I didn't like that because I could only sell it and then I couldn't train the client. And it felt like this bait and switch. And so I actually switched over to the training side. And then they have a sales team that sells for you, but you're allowed to sell yourself. And so I was doing research and, looking up stuff on how to sell better. And honestly, I was selling majority of my own clients.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, though, man. It's really hard to sell a product or a service that, A, you don't personally use, B, that you don't really have a passion or excitement for, and C, something that you're not actually like in a network or a community of people where it makes sense. And I know that's kind of out there, but like, you don't need to sell something that you don't use. Like, I personally think if you're going to sell something, you should be like one of the number one power users of that thing. Like, without a doubt, you should know the ins, the outs, everything and anything there is to know about it, because your job as a sales professional is to solve problems. And if you can solve the person's problem, understanding your product, then, I mean, the sales kind of just becomes like a service thing at that point. Like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. Here's where you sign up, give me the money, and then here's what's going to happen next. And so with the shift for you from selling the training to actually performing the training, when you went down that path, did you have people that kind of questioned it, or were you like, this is what I'm doing and here's where we're going?
I mean, I did have people question it, and those people were the salespeople that were my colleagues at the time, because they were telling me you can make more money on this side and everything like that. And I was like, you can, I guess, but at the same time, do you not realize I can make the same money over there? I get the same bonuses. It's not a requirement like it is a requirement for you. Like, you guys have commission draws and all that kind of stuff. I don't have that over here. And I get paid to train the person long-term after the fact, right? I was like, so if you really weigh it out, and then it did help, though, that I did switch locations at the same time that transition was going, because they didn't need another trainer at the one I was at. So that only lasted until I made the switch, and then, there was no issues with it. But I mean, my thing is like, it only takes 2 seconds. Like, if you're good at sales, yeah, you could probably sell anything, right? But at the same time, like, if you're BSing it and you don't use it or you don't believe in it, like, there's a feeling the customer gets, even though you're trying your best and you're saying all the right things, there's an underlying tone that, a person can feel.
I think it's even deeper than that, man. I think there's an energy, like when I've talked to different personal trainers in the past, let's just use that as an example. First of all, if I walk in and I look at you and I can tell that you're not actively showing up in the gym on a consistent basis, like, I'm already going to have some questions. And I'm not saying that you can't be, you don't have to be 6-pack abs and absolutely chiseled to be a great trainer. Like, that's not the case at all. But if I'm looking at you and you're sloppy, you don't carry yourself well, and it's very clear that you're not implementing the things that you're going to teach me to implement, like, I'm not going to want to work with you. But the other side of that really is that people know, man, like, when someone's feeding you a line, like, everyone at this point, it's 2025, man. Our BS meters are like pinged out and probably going off the Richter scale for most of us, because we've just seen it. We've watched so many fraudsters and people just try to like play the game that they're not actually playing. And so what I'd love to know for you, like, in the situation, knowing that you're a very authentic person, I know we've met, online a couple times, we've had some great conversations. What would you say is your like secret sales superpower? What's the thing that separates you from all the other weirdo goofball trainers that exist out there?
I mean, I don't just tell, like, the main thing is I don't tell people answers that I don't know, right? So what I mean by that is, I've had clients that had Parkinson's. I've had clients that were D1 athletes. I've had professional boxers. I've had the spectrum of different kinds of clients. And the thing was, someone would come to me and be like, hey, my dad has Parkinson's, or, whatever the case is. Can you train that person? I was like, I can, but before I meet with them, let me just look up a few things just to make sure that I can do it to my ability, right? Instead of just saying, yes, I can, and them show up, and then me being like, oh, you can't do that. You can't do it. It's like, oh, man, trying to figure it out, right? And so, like, that was a big thing for me. It was, like, being honest to someone, because at the end of the day, it takes them one Google search to realize if you're BSing or not, right? And then as a trainer and running my personal training business before my gym, it was the ability to get referrals, right? Like, when I was an independent trainer and not working for a company, all the other independent people were just sitting on the floor when they didn't have clients, and they would just sit there and wait for someone to walk up to them. Like, my big thing was that I would walk around, just correct form, and not be like, hey, you need personal training. Just plant that seed, walk away, plant that seed, walk away. And then go ask the front desk and sales staff, like, hey, I know you guys don't have a training staff in here. If you guys send them to me, like, what's your guys' whole route that you guys do it? And they're like, well, we just send it to whoever we want. I was like, send it to me and I'll give you cash for their first session. Like, okay, cool. And then same thing for clients. You send someone to me, they sign up, I'll give you a free session, right? And it's like that referral system built out a 6-figure personal training business that was 0% online.
That's, man, there's so much value. And this is one of the things that I've really been back and forth with some of my personal coaching clients and in somewhat, in the broader spectrum of things, in that, you and I, man, we're very much aware of social media. We know it as a tool that's a great process and thing that we can use for marketing and growing our business. And also, there's still a lot to be said about a good old-fashioned handshake, referral, genuine relationship building process, man, because it is that truly creates the long-term sustainability. Because Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of these platforms, they're always changing. There's always a new algorithm. They're constantly making updates and different things. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't use them. I'm saying you absolutely should. And also, I think a lot of people are forgetting to leverage that good old-fashioned relationship building process, the handshake, the, hey, man, let me just help someone genuinely provide some value to them in their life, and know that in doing so, it's going to create opportunities where people are going to reach out and say, hey, you helped me with that thing. I might have another thing I need help with. Can you tell me more? And
Exactly.
I think it's so interesting to see how many people skip over that. So for you, having built most of your business organically, when you made the shift to leveraging social media and more so, what was that like for you?
I mean, I think I will say, I'll just add what you were saying too, is like some people don't forget it, and like they'll have it, a referral system in their mind, but they're too scared to ask for it. And it's like, they're already a client. Like they're your testimonial. How much easier is it to sign someone up that gets referred by someone they trust and then coming to you, versus finding someone on social media that saw a couple clips of you, but doesn't know anyone else that knows you? So you got to ask. Once I started asking for referrals, all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, I do have a few people, And so it's like, don't be scared to ask. But I will say, to answer your question about social media, once I started getting on social media, because I didn't really do it until I opened the gym, and we started doing it for the gym. And then I started doing it as the personal side, because I know people buy from people, and then, and seeing a face to the brand, it makes it a little more relatable. And so once I started doing that, we were getting DMs and, text messages and a lot more stuff. And then people were easily able to send that to their friend, right? And it was another way to essentially let them, send a referral. It's like, look, this is what we were just talking about the other day. And boom, then they're like, hey, they reach out. Hey, I know Maria from the gym. She goes to your gym. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get a lead right there.
I love that. And I'm going to add to, this is going to be a good combination of the social media and the referral ask. One of the things that I've personally implemented, and I'm going to give this away to y'all, so I hope you're paying attention right now. When you're working with a client, one of the things is clients are often quick to say, hey man, I appreciate you. Like I this thing helped, this thing did whatever. I did the thing you told me to do and it worked. They get super excited. And what I've personally started doing is saying, hey, I love that. And the greatest compliment that we can receive beyond what you just said would be a referral. Who do you know that would want to send me that same message? Or who do you know that would like to save that, solve that same problem? And I can't tell you, bro, it has made just a massive difference. And from the social media aspect, what's awesome is, like you said, if you're posting content, someone sees that, they recognize, hey, I want to give this guy a compliment. So they tag their friend on your post and they're like, hey, this is the dude I work with. You should check him out. It's so cool. And I'm guessing you guys are starting to experience that as well.
No, definitely. And I mean, social media is a tool that you can do so many other things with than just referrals. You can do giveaways, you can do all these other cool things, but it's like, once you get that client, whatever you paid, essentially, whether it was a gift and there was a cost to that gift, right? It's like whatever you paid, it's like you can lower that cost by just asking for a referral. It's a spider web, right? It's like 1 equals 2, 2 equals 4, 4 equals 8. It's like, why wouldn't you do that?
I love that. And I'm going to nerd out on some numbers and KPIs here, because this is something that I think is so important for business owners to understand, especially sales guys. Know your metrics, right? Okay, if you spend, let's say $100 to acquire a client, right? You spend $100 on marketing, you get one guy in the door, he pays you. What did you actually make? Because most people just are like, oh yeah, we spent $2,000 on marketing and we sold 500 clients last month and, we're crushing it. It's like, okay, but did the marketing dollars actually equate to closed deals, or are you running that collectively? Are you breaking it down? Because sometimes, like you said, there's a gift involved. So maybe you spent $25 on a gift and then another $25 on the marketing to get them there. So really you're in for 50. And now you've got to make sure, hey, did I generate at least $50 on the front end to break even? Am I getting 25 on the front end with the goal of them being a client for the next 90 days, 120 days? Like, the KPIs matter. And I think it's so important because, as he just said, you can drastically drop your cost per acquisition by asking for referrals. There's no cost to it unless you decide to do a gift card or whatever. But even then, the amount of sales that you'll make just from having this process of asking for referrals drastically going to reduce those KPIs. And in every small business, especially, personal training for sure, it's about lifetime value of the client. Because if they just show up for one session, they're not going to change. Your life's not going to change, and it's not going to create the success that you're looking for. So Devin, what do you guys do on the team to work on that long-term retention? Let's say you get them in the door, you do a great job selling them. What's your long-term sales process look like?
So, our whole goal is retention. Like, we have a KPI board that our team sees, and that's just, base level numbers. And then we have one that the managers and me and my business partners see, which is actual like dollar amounts and stuff like that. But for us, everything that we tie into the business, there's a psychological standpoint from it to increase engagement, to increase referrals, or increase a gamification aspect to the gym, since we have a gym model, right? So like, one thing is we have the heart rate technology, which increases their ability to stay in the fat burning zone. But we've added, some challenges that are free of charge. As long as you have the heart rate belt, it gamifies the experience, it increases engagement, increases the community aspect of the gym. And then other things like we have the in-body composition scan, right, where people can scan and track their progress. Because just like you for the business, tracking your progress, tracking your cost per lead, cost per acquisition, all those things, knowing where you're at so you can improve them. Like, that's the same thing we want to do with clients is what is your goal? Let's make sure we're tracking it. It's not just about looking good, feeling good, do your clothes fit better? It's like, what are the numbers so we can adjust and make sure that you keep seeing numbers. And then a member sees those numbers, they're seeing results, and then what happens? They stay longer because they know it works, right? And then they tell their friend about it because they're like, I just lost this weight. Like, look, here's my printout. Look, boom, now you have a referral from there.
I love that. Now, do you guys only do in-person training, or do you online training as well?
So at our gyms, we only do in-person, but it's not personal training. It's our model is actually a boot camp with no class times. So we're the first of its kind of thing. So every time we get on the phone with someone, it's like, so what classes do you have? And then we're like, well, we don't have classes. It is a group setting, and try to explain it a little bit. So the pitch is constantly developing to make it make sense in a shorter time frame. But having them understand that it's like a blend of a big box gym. You can come in during our operating hours. You get the same energy as a boot camp, and you get the workout of the day. But then each station of the 11 stations for the day is modified to your fitness level, to your, your restrictions, whatever the case. It's almost like getting a personal trainer as well.
I think that's cool because it gives someone the option to be able to go in and do their thing, but it's also structured in a way that they know they're going to get a successful workout. Because having been someone that was 300 plus pounds at one point in my life, and having gone through the seasons and struggles of like the ups and downs of it, when you don't have a good routine, you don't have like someone who's actually saying use this muscle and then this muscle and then this muscle and then this muscle, you just kind of wander around aimlessly. And that's how you end up with mediocre results. And as you said, man, what gets measured gets improved. And having those different gamification tools, I think I'm excited to watch your guys' journey, man, because I know you're a genuine person. You care about helping people. And from this episode alone, I know you're doing some very unique things in your gym. Where are you guys located again?
We're in Los Angeles, and we have a franchise location opening up in Tampa, and we'll have one in Dallas soon in 2025.
That's freaking awesome, man. And I know we could probably sit here and nerd out about sales all day long, but I want to be respectful of your time and the listeners. So how can we come and find more about you? Check out your website. Like, what's the best way to learn more about you guys, or come and find your gyms?
Yeah, everything, I created like one single hub that you can just find everything that is going on. You can just go to my website, which is my name, DevanGonzalez.com, DevanGonzalez.
Perfect, man. I'll make sure that's in the show notes, and I'll make sure we drive some traffic your way, because I think there's some real gems in this episode, especially for people in the training space. Before we get out of here, though, I always like to ask this question. Let's say, sales, it's an industry where there's always new people coming in, people coming out. Like, let's just say one of those new people coming in today, they've decided, hey, I want to get good at sales, and they go online and they type how to get good at sales, and they find this episode some crazy way. What advice would you give them to be successful in the sales industry?
Just like business, you're not going to be an overnight success in sales. It takes time. You have to trust the process and realize that just because you learn one thing that works for someone, it may not work for you, right? It's the key and door analogy, right? You have your own key. You just got to find the door that works for you. So you have to find the sales style, the sales script that fits your personality type.
I love it. That's great advice. You guys heard the man. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you go check out his website, DevanGonzalez.com. We'll put it all down in the show notes so it's easy to find. Share it with a friend. Subscribe. Leave us a review. Do all the things, because when you actively engage with the show, it helps us know that we're doing good things and helping people out there in the real world, and also helps us get in front of more amazing people like you, like my new friend Devin, and those of you that have crazy-ass sales stories like, trying to bring someone into the gym and their husband thinking maybe she's having an affair and trying to be all nuts, but then it turning into an amazing opportunity. These things happen every day in sales, and I'd love to share your story. So if you have one, head over to the callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Check out the requirements. Send us your information. Let's get you on the show. Let's have a fun conversation. Devin, man, I can't thank you enough for your time. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
You got it. You guys know what to do from here. Go call the damn leads. Crush the damn day. We'll see you on the next one. Later.